Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Books and Beverages for June. It's nice to see how many people come back to these month on month. That's very encouraging. But also, it's really nice to see that we've got some new people here, who we hope we can encourage you to come back again. Because our aim through Books and Beverages is to introduce new writers, new artists, new poets. I'm fighting for the poets. New poets to an audience once a month. So it's really nice to see that our audience changes, as well as welcoming back the people who come regularly. Today, we've got a very exciting hour for you. We have two poets, quite different, but two poets who are going to entertain you, perhaps surprise you, perhaps get you involved. So we have Molly Ovenden, who describes herself as a writer, artist, teacher, and creative writing coach. Molly is going to produce a poem live, as it were. She's going to talk to the audience, and then she's going to produce some work. And after Molly has initially spoken to you, then we will have Rhiannon-Skye Boden, who comes from Leeds, a multiple times slam champion, I read. A featured poet performing in Leeds, Huddersfield, Sheffield, and now Harrogate. What can you want? So we'll start with Molly, and Molly will tell you more about herself.
Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for coming today. I'm Molly Ovenden, and it's really fun to be here. So I write poetry for people, usually in live settings, on the spot, at their request. I type up the poem on my vintage typewriter, and then I perform it for the person who commissioned it from me. And so you will get to, if one of you are brave, to partake in that process. So I would love to ask a volunteer to let me write a poem for you. And that just means I'll ask you a few questions about what you'd want your poem to be about. And we'll do that as quick and painless. I've done it almost 1,000 times now, and it's always gone well. So is there someone who would let me write you a poem today? Yeah, great. What's your name? Claire. Could you spell that for me, please? Great. Bear with me as I juggle these two things. So Claire, I'm Molly. It's great to meet you. What would you like your poem to be about? It can be silly or serious. It could be something that's profound and kind of churning in your thoughts, or something flippant and passing. Whatever comes to mind, I'll ask you some follow-up questions.
Okay. I want to say about poetry.
Great. So what about poetry feels intriguing to you?
I think there's something about the soul of poetry.
And how would you define soul?
I think, well, this isn't going to be a dictionary definition,
No. This is Claire's definition.
but something about having some heart and maybe a little bit of mystery.
And if you were to, as you're walking through daily life, come upon something, you see something, experience something, you're like, that's poetry. What comes to mind?
Well, I've been sat in the garden this lunchtime, and my husband's been putting out old sausage rolls on the garden, and hoping that a kite will come and swoop down the garden and pick up a bit of sausage roll. And it did, twice.
Oh, wow, okay.
So that for me is a little piece of magic.
Sounds awesome. Is there anything else that comes to mind that you want to make sure that you share today?
I'm sure it will if I can warm up a bit, but I'm just in a little bit of a freeze right now.
Yes,
so
that is.
So maybe something about how one keeps the flow.
Yeah.
In the face of exposure.
In the face of exposure. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Okay, Claire, thank you so much for being really brave. We give you a little hand clap for being brave. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to take what our conversation that we just had, and you'll all hear some tip tapping over here as I'm composing the poem and typing it up. And please don't let that distract you, but enjoy the ambiance of the typewriter. And, Rhiannon-Skye comes up.
Thank you, Molly. That sounds like quite a task to me. I freeze when anybody wants me to write something cold like that. But I'm sure Molly will manage it. So now I'm going to hand over to Rhiannon-Skye and let her tell you about herself and her poetry and how wonderful she looks. I'm serious. I'm not joking. I have a granddaughter who would just love to see you dressed like that.
Hi everyone, how are we doing? We good? Good. My name's Goodnighttheskye. My name is Rhiannon-Skye, but I perform as Goodnighttheskye. I'm a performance poet and a slam poet. And how many of you have been to like a performance poetry night before? Show of hands. Beautiful. Okay. So what you might not know if you've never been to a spoken word event, like a performance poetry event, is that interaction is encouraged. Silence is terrifying. It's not a thing I want to hear. So as I'm moving through the poetry, if anything connects with you, if anything feels good, if there's a line that surprises you or delights you in any way, please feel free to click. If clicking isn't enough, you can do a very pretentious poet noise like Should we practice? Everybody do a pretentious Beautiful. And then between poems, if you like it, you can clap. That'd be great if you could. Yes.
When you say a slam,
Yes.
do you mean that there's you and there's somebody and you do a bit and they do a bit?
No, that's how rap battles work. Thankfully, they don't make us do that. Basically, you get up on stage, you have 3 minutes, you're judged on that time, and then you sit back down, and then judges tell you how much they enjoyed that 3 minutes. No worries. So I'm going to share some poems from New Fables for Transformation, which is my debut collection. I like to describe it as a walk through the deep, dark woods. So there's a lot of fantasy in it, a lot of nature, a lot of nostalgia, a lot of legacy. And so it feels only fitting to start with this piece, which is called This Ode is Not a Metaphor. The start is sealed away in celluloid. My father, standing on a beach in Scarborough, or idling along the cliffs of Saltburn, watches the water sing herself golden. And this could be an ordinary, perfect moment. Maybe it would be in somebody else's story, but here she uses the salt air to whisper and gives him her secrets for safekeeping. As he rides the wave of fate all the way back north, I wait in the soft underwater silence of unbecoming, soothed by the insulation of being many years away, and so I do not hear the sea singing. When I am almost as substantial as a thought, my dad is stopped short in the cereal aisle. Supermarket mundanity unceremoniously shattered by a lottery ticket with the winning numbers etched in gold. I am still held close and warm by time, and so I do not see the glinting or the maths as he weighs his future Plato's ghosts against the heft of unfathomable wealth. I do not see the sums. All I know is that we do arrive. Despite the echoes of Mum's old motorcycle injury, despite the doctor's certainty that no one could smile so wide through labor. Now, my dad's cliff-jumping days are behind him, but he still pants for gold in the dales in his spare time, and he can put his ear to a piece of kindling and hear the fire's potential beg to be released. I don't know if I am worth my weight in coins, but But I was raised, wreathed through with fairy blood, and I have learned to turn strangers to sonnets by writing close-knit cursive with destiny's threads. I know every family has its secrets, but most do not know how to lace their steps with seawater, or thank the snapped branch for its elderberries, or turn the earth to donut as bonfire communion. I haven't heard the ocean's song just yet, but I am a steadfast archivist of golden moments, and I am a quick study, one who has learned by watching that all silences become poetry in time. Thank you. Problem is we're moving backwards. Okay, so there's a lot in this collection that is about the impact that older women have had on my life, the way I look to them for wisdom and for guidance, even though they are not with me anymore. So this is a poem from my grandma and my great-grandma. It's called Selkies, and I hope you enjoy it. I love the ugliness of Scarborough Bay, with its grand hotel like an open wound, half the walls crumbled away with age, its red velour carpet sky-facing and sodden with rain. My grandma, blasted with sand, walks towards the sea's slate rage. Grandad's goose dinner, a second skin, Whitby, just a steely glint in her eye. I am told she made this journey often, pink and blue with cold, strange cap's head bobbing, taming the grey tantrum with an impatient grandma sigh down the coast. Her mother is nesting, building a fortress in Robin Hood's Bay, bat and bucket, resting by the back door so stray adders knew what they were in for. Once she lay a flightless dragon in our frigid hands to teach us city kids about fear. And we marveled at its supple scales and serrated fangs, smooth, then sharp as flamingo-tongued shelves. I crave the raw scrape of these coastal towns, salt-licked and stinging so they can never heal. Their liminal grandeur, their unforgiving hills, ocean leeching its tired glamour back, tide by tide by tide. I think of my seawater women, their leopard print coats, their red heels endlessly chipped by unforgiving cobblestones, shouting Saturday Night Sinatra back to each other like the chip shop hiss, like gull calls. I want to put them in a bottle, or preserve them in salt, or put my ear to a conch shell and hear them singing. Thank you. Thank you. So, you may not know from seeing me and watching this set, but I actually have a fairly serious anxiety disorder, and that's how I came to poetry in the first place. It helped me gain confidence, it helped me feel good speaking in front of people, it helped me feel understood, which is something that you can't put a price on. And I wrote this poem about that, and I performed it at a slam, and it was my first ever slam competition, and I had a debilitating panic attack and had to start over. And then I won the slam, and they congratulated me on being so in character, which just goes to show sometimes you win in ways you don't mean to. This is Alien Skin, and I hope you enjoy it. Summer brings with it my alien skin. And indeed, it's hard to fit in this skin, because indeed it's hard to fit in this skin, and this convoluted way to say I just can't win. And the sweltering heat makes it harder still. 1,000 suns, sizzling meat, sweating seconds until geomagnetic reversal goes in for the kill and my alien skin saves no one but me. You see, I'm a corrugated staccato note in this Mad Max dystopia, where sunshine frees me of all company. My skin can adapt but never reaches what it strives to be. My attempts at other life forms lack subtlety. Devour hungrily my attempts at conversation. Soon, my alien skin is all I can talk to. My exoskeleton and medicine for the fact there's nothing else to do. Kicking nuclear reactors to feel something like a Valentine. It's asinine the way my life's now something to survive through. I'm eggshell invincible. Intangible without external validation, I'm still visible. September's vast approach and vast length, the punchline pinnacle of this alien abduction in reverse. climates. Rehearsed human mannerisms and ready for the onslaught. These human mannerisms are not grown but taught. My alien skin doesn't like colder climates. I'm breaking. I won't survive till Christmas break. My alien skin really doesn't like colder climates, and for fractal fishes a touch is all it takes. My old skin raw and not ready to show up to the plate, show up late to class with a backpack and a porous sell-by date. Forced to become myself again. I reflect on what the word alien really means. Shrug on a thrift shop personality and took summer skin tatters into the seams. When I meet people I can speak to in this heavy earth tongue, I wonder if our atoms were close together when this universe spun to life. If soulmates are just cosmic clouds rife with complementary compounds, I hope so. It'd be nice to know there are some for whom I'm familiar ground, who I can be myself around, because round these parts I'm still rounding up the parts of me I tried so hard to dumb down, but winter brings with it a skin of my own. Too bright and too tight to feel quite like home, but I'm trying, peeling alien skin, revealing witching bones, muscles made of maidens and sinew made of crones. Halloween's approach, a chance to start anew and not alone. And so, let winter be a vaulter. Let my exoskeleton be exposed and absolved and start over. Let the old new me lose novelty and the new old me get older, because my skin was so much safer, but these bones are so much bolder. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Now, you might have noticed you have a candle in front of you. I would like you to light it, please. No fire risk, these are fake. And just hold it, because you don't have to light the ones that aren't yours, don't worry, just light yours. And we're gonna, for the ambience, of course. And what I'm asking you to do this is because we're heading into a section of the book called The Monsters, which is explicitly about the kinds of things that live under the bed and come out to scare us. And as such, there's going to be some not super safe for work language. There's going to be some pretty untidy themes. It's going to get a little bit dark and a little bit frightening. And I want you to keep hold of those, because we are going to make it through the deep dark woods together. And now I'm going to do the oldest poet trick in the book. I'm going to make you pick which I do, because then if you don't like it, it's your fault, not mine. So, there are two poems to choose from here. One of them is called In the Living Room with a Vampire, which is a bad ex-boyfriend vampire poem. And then the other one is called Things I Have Said During D&D and Therapy, and that is a Dungeons and Dragons poem. So, can I see hands for the vampire ex-boyfriend poem? Okay, that's going to be hard to beat. Any very enthusiastic Dungeons and Dragons players in the room? You know what, that's even. I'll cut something else and we'll do both. Okay. Yes, trigger warning for allusions to abuse, allusions to depression, self-harm, and also some swear words. But, we're grown-ups, we can handle it. This is Things I Have Said During D&D and Therapy. Things I have said during D&D and therapy. I'm still not sure if this is like a queer people thing or if just none of my straight friends are doing it. I brought snacks in case we end up killing each other later. Is this the quickest anyone's ever cried in a session? I'm sorry I'm late. I got distracted thinking about all the stupid shit I said last time. It's funny. Whenever I step into this room, things never go the way I'm expecting. I'm thinking of changing my pronouns. Do you think it's normal that we spend this much time trying to figure out how to unlock a locked door? Help! I can't stop saying the word mood whenever I'm in serious physical danger. I'm worried that everyone can see I'm the villain but me. Just once, I'd like to walk into a room without checking for traps. I keep a book of every face and shape a fiend can take. What does it say when scanning for exits comes as easily as breathing? That moment in a video game, when the music ramps up on a shot of an empty room and the threat won't reveal itself until you're already 2 steps inside. I think I'm getting too comfortable with hurting people just because they deserve it. Upon reflection, I'm always doing the right thing for the wrong reason. Sometimes evil isn't the door slamming behind you, it's what grows when you're too busy surviving to water anything else. I think I need to find another god to pray to. I keep swapping out the deal I'm making, but never the devil I shake hands with. Nobody becomes a hero unless their sword already has blood on it. I just keep wishing that the fatalities didn't rest on the bounce of a die. There's a reason the first victim always becomes the big bad's henchman. It's easier than seeking atonement for all the people you failed to save. Sometimes I check myself for horns in the bathroom mirror, Wonder if there is any honor to be found in failing to show up to the fight. I wish that I had done this sooner. I'm just saying it's a red flag if your partner won't even consider doing it once. In hindsight, I should have realized I wasn't straight a lot sooner, and all my favorite characters end up dying the same way. A glittering one-liner in service of something greater. What is a gaming table if not an altar with no blood on it? What is a tiefling if not a pound of flesh? A noble death if not a stone thrown at both gates on Judgment Day? To nudge the brass scales, or catch the ear of whoever is listening to ask them, can the price of redemption really be paid in bones? Cheers, everybody. Okay, hold tight. This is In the Living Room with a Vampire. It's based on a true story. When I was 14, a man 2 years older than me successfully gaslit me into believing he was an honest-to-God mythical creature because I was vulnerable and because he was a terrible, terrible person. One day, he'll hear this poem and hopefully be very embarrassed about what he did. But this is In the Living Room with a Vampire. It's getting kind of late, I say, as the moon stumbles home and the sun blinks awake. My tea is cold. The house is colder. And you can't even sit up straight, or take your meds, or take the bins out. So I try not to take the bait until you give me a response that really takes the fucking cake. You say, baby, let us be vampires. And that's when I break. Because it's a dry and deadbeat day in the doldrums of July. In a city, sun skips over while the summer slithers by. All lidded eyes and language, you make Morrissey look merry. And here, the differences between falling up curbs and falling in love just aren't many. I spent my pound on the bus fare, but I'm still in for a penny, so let us be vampires. But then it's night 27 at the culture club next door with the burnouts lining up and lighting up on sticky floors. You can't get in unless invited, and the bouncers just aren't sure. So you down your drink and drain me like a holy water whore, and I'm calling you a hangover because I'm nursing you again. And I'm calling you a taxi because you're here at 5 a.m. Morning comes with broken mirrors, no reflection, punctured wrists, and these bite marks get me love drunk, but don't stop you getting pissed because you are a fork-tongued fakir. A fair weather fiend full of blasphemy and beer, a sweet talker, sleepwalker, treading water, seer, because you can see the future but won't be seen when it gets here. But you helped me learn my lesson about strangers in the night, because you're a bastard with a bloody bark more draining than your bite, and you called yourself the vampire, but that couldn't have been right, because now you work in Asda, and I've seen you in the light, and for all your deadly dulcet deeds, I should have stayed at home, because there's a reason even Morrissey still ended up alone, and your leather jacket lipstick charm set faster than the sun, so next time I see a vampire, I think I might just run. Thank you. Okay, I have 2 more. Are we okay for time? I've got 2 more. Are we good for time? Yes, okay. This is the very last sad poem, and then I'll do something happy and I'll end this. But this has been an absolute privilege. If you would like to come get a copy of New Fables for Transformation, keep me in Pringles and After Eights for a couple of days, and also support an independent queer-led press, I can make that happen for you via cash or card. They are £10. This is The House Witch. Hold your candles tight, because this is what this one is about. The House Witch is all soft heat and hearth and heath. She says, baby, let me teach you how to step outside yourself. Some days, the nape of your neck will elude you in the mirror. No twist, no tug of limbs will bring the nymph that sits there into view, and a true witch knows how to look the demons on her back in the eyes. I tell her, this is not a poem about demons. The house witch says, baby, let me teach you how to unzip yourself. The pain of peeling is a hot hurt, a purple burn, but it is yours. Yours to keep the lamps lit. Yours to guide your new and naked body should you stray too long. The house witch says, baby, do not stray too long. For there are beasts who see your body standing empty, who see your body as a wet warmth to breed snakes in, as a frog spawn hole, as a spine on which to hang a weary soul. They will make houses of your heart and then eat their way out of you. I tell her, this is not a poem about demons, or about beasts, or about hearts. I couldn't turn you frogs to footmen. If I tried, wouldn't know with which spell to start. So instead, I learned to make myself taste bitter. Salt my blood and bone to bar him from my breast, swallow smoke that makes my skin shed shadows sicker, turn my skin to seething oil slick just so that I might rest. The house witch says, baby, You know this was never about witchcraft. But I disagree. Because when I can see his house and not have to cross the street, that is magic. When seeing Christmas lights means seeing only Christmas lights, that is magic. When I can see him, see the cruel curve of his claws retreat back into fingernails, that is magic. Recovery is the slowest magic I know. But I know that it's happening because I no longer want to curse him. I wanted to curse him for so many years, but his name was a spell that caught in my mouth, died on my tongue, stuck in my throat, rotted all the way down. I can say his name now. It's fast becoming the only spell I will ever need. When I say it, I see the house witch lighting the lamps. When I say it, I get one step closer to home. One day I will cross the threshold. One day I will find the strength to light those lamps myself. The house witch says, baby, this is not a poem about demons. At the end of the day, he was not a demon, but I am a witch. Thank you, everybody. Okay, there are happy poems in this book. There are, I promise. A lot of these are page poems, which is why I haven't read them out today. But there's many explorations of how much I love coastal towns, how much I owe my grandparents, how much I love wandering in the deep dark woods while listening to Midwestern emo music, which I'm guessing not many people in the room recognize, but you should get into it, it's fun. This one is the epilogue. It's the title poem. It is a happy poem, despite the fact that the first line is tragedies happen, and it will be my last one. And then feel free to come chat to me whether you buy a book or not. It'd be great to connect, because I don't often get to be in spaces like this. I've been Goodnight-theskye. This has been sick. This is New Fables for Transformation. Tragedies happen. This truth, old and certain as a nursery rhyme, washes its claws in the dinged-up copper basin, brings its dough to the flowered dining table we share, and dirties its spring sleeves alongside us. And here is the rhythm. We have all picked flowers from groves we know they won't grow back from. Each of us has turned our voice into an arrow and claimed a feathered plea deserved the August dirt. If we were Wendy birds once, we are no longer. We who have kissed a stranger while looking for answers no further than their mouths, and still we crowd closer, pack ourselves into concert halls and lie about who really spilled the cordial, and we will step over daisies diligently. Dutifully stand vigil over another's prized September loaves, but when the yeast and the steam are done rising, we will wrench our promises from our own little hands like stolen pocket money, like baby teeth. Tragedies happen. Sometimes you cannot trust the world beyond your own front step. The wrong man wins and the world becomes one long Wednesday biro pen explosion. Or October brings a cold that makes even the blue blush giant shiver. Sometimes the bread burns. Or the blank pages, horizontal lines take flight and leave your almost cooked forgiveness to trail helplessly behind like kite tails, like slowly unraveling crochet chains. Tragedies happen. Too often you cannot trust the world inside your own front step. Our species has never been able to resist beautiful things, and sometimes that is the death of us, and we, mortified December princes, hiding under our own skins for comfort, we who feel most comfortable, obscured by grime-filled bathwater, as likely to apologize to the stuffed toy as we are to draw blood, we must slice our measly heels and crusts and share with every thin and feathered thing that wanders by, and since our gums are sore and split from where our fangs are crowding in, we must separate the tang of iron from the smoky herb and gravel taste of becoming a beast that's far beyond contrition, not because, but in spite of what we faced. Cheers, everybody. Okay, I'm going to end on this, because I end all my sets with this. This isn't in the book, it's just my favourite thing to do. It's called The Trickster and the Martyr. There is some light blasphemy in it, but it was inspired by Eat, Pray, Love, so that means I'm allowed to do it. Okay. The Trickster and the Martyr, they sit talking at the bar. The martyr holds his rosary, the trickster his guitar. The trickster says that God is dead. The martyr, he just grins. Old friend, he says, if God is dead, then everybody wins. The martyr, inconsolable, declares a drunken bet. He sips and slurs, the end is nigh. The trickster says, not yet. But unbeknownst to everyone, the trickster had a plan, and while God was making Adam, he'd snuck in and made a man. A hero to lead millions who would die when it got dark, to inspire all humanity and leave them with a spark. The trickster had searched high and low for a thing to fill his soul, then went down the local record store and gave him rock and roll. So he came out with a power chord and called upon his screaming horde, and even Satan cowered from his might. And the martyr sobbed, and the trickster sighed, and Jesus wept and rubbed his eyes, and the trickster said, I think we'll be all right. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you very much, Rhiannon-Skye. That was amazing. Thank you. Molly, are you ready?
I am indeed.
Ooh,
Yeah.
how exciting.
Thank you. Thank you, Rhiannon-Skye. That was brilliant. So inspiring. Now, Claire, thank you for letting me write you a poem. It is ready, and I would love to read it to you. Now, the rest of you, although this is specifically for Claire, I wonder what might ring true for you. I wonder, might it resonate for you in a way that is unexpected? So, this is Claire's poem, and it is called, What Is It About Poetry? In school, we learn how rhythm earns its space in stanzas, or the beauty of pops and crackles, because we all love a bit of magical poof onomatopoeia. But poetry has a soul, a life that reads aloud, sometimes so slow as it unfolds meaning, like a tender flower petal opens, a time-lapse experienced. When watched on repeat, a poem comes alive. And sometimes poetry groans with pleasure for garden sunshine, a moment to rest, unwind. The glint through darkest Yorkshire clouds, this summer green, it's needed to thrive. And other times, well, it can be just so silly, like plonking down dry crusts or a soggy old sausage roll and waiting for the magic of that scavenging winged beast, and then the red kite swoops. And then again, and that is poetry. That's what the soul beckons. What is it about poetry? It's the beauty that keeps us in flow. Claire, thank you so much for letting me write you a poem. That's for you. So I trained as an English teacher. I'm from Minnesota in the States originally. When Rhiannon-Skye says Midwest emo, I'm from the Midwest. So I'm like, I get a little bit of that. I was a shy kid who had a lot of words and learned to be quiet and not say them out loud. They sometimes got me in trouble. I got my mouth washed out with soap a number of times for talking back. And over time, my poetry soul stayed inside. I kept writing poetry. I kept trying to be brave, and yet that was kind of squashed down. It felt uncomfortable, unsafe to be exposed, to be seen, to be heard. I had a really supportive high school English teacher, and she had me submit things to anthologies, and my first one got in. That's unheard of, teenager being brave, and what the heck? My second one got in. That's really unusual. My third submission, rejection letter. Kind of bummed, not really bothered, because wowee, my first 2 attempts were there. Well, I shared this minor disappointment with an important adult in my life, and they said, good, I'm glad you got rejected, now you won't get a big head. So in that moment, as a formational time young teenager, I learned that if I have success in expressing emotions and using my voice, in being creative as a poet and writer, I will hurt people. So, again, squash that down. But I still wrote. I still wanted that to happen. That's why I trained as an English teacher, because I know that this stuff is good. And over time, I healed and moved on and grew up and then continue to go through counseling and therapy to just be a human in this world. And I've learned that not only are my words and my voice a gift, like what I was made for, I feel like myself. I always say thank you for letting me write you a poem, because I truly mean thank you for letting me write you a poem, because I get to be myself when I create words on a page. So part of this unwinding and so on, I began teaching and coaching more and more people of various ages. And lo and behold, client after client after client, yeah, I just want to write more poems. I would love to publish a book of poetry. I just want to finally dig into the poetry. And I'm like, dang it. That means this squash down thing has to come up. And so it began to come up, and I realized that at that formational time in my teenage years, I had actually read a book about someone who had a typewriter and went into public places and wrote poems for people on the spot, and I thought that'd be cool, but I'm not allowed. And that came to the surface as more and more poets came into my life. And so then I was brave and talked about it, and I helped people with theirs. And then mine, like a dam, broke open. And if I needed a sign, I literally got one. Someone gave me a typewriter, a beautiful Smith Corona Classic 12. It's blue. I don't really know much about typewriters other than their colors and their names and that I love them. But this first typewriter took me through several hundred poems of being brave, of saying, hey, cafe owner, hey, pub owner, hey, friends, can I write poems for you? Can I write them in your space? And I thought it was awesome, because I know it is, but I didn't know that others would think so too. And so I thought, I'll just write a couple of books, for my friends who humor me. And as this got going, I realized this is a thing. Like, it works. It's a cool way to connect with people. Poetry is an amazing container to carry these emotions that we don't know what to do with. They're intangible. But poetry and my way of questioning and asking about what people want their poem to be, from training as a coach, from working with teenagers who didn't want to be in class and didn't do the work, but still leading a discussion. I can ask questions to pull something out, and then together we make something beautiful. And I realized this is working. So, not just doing a couple of books, I'm going to do a rainbow, because wouldn't that look cool on the shelf? And so, you see here, I have the red, orange, yellow, and green are done. And each of them has been a different theme collection of being able to bring this poetry joy, this connection with people that I meet, strangers who allow me the gift of the conversation and the connection, and the gift to be myself and allow them to be themselves too. And I'd love to read one or two poems. I've not been looking at the clock, so please let me know. But I wonder too just how they might impact you, what might stand out for you, because it is fascinating. The more specific the poem is for that person, the more I've found it resonates with people. Sometimes we think as creatives, as writers, we need to make it for everyone, and that's where it gets muddy, it gets lost. So I wonder how these connect with you. So this is a poem called Breathe In. Someone asked me to help them breathe to be in nature, how much they enjoyed it, and write a poem about that. And they love hiking in the mountains. So this is Breathe In. Breathe it in, that sweet mountain air, that elixir of freshness, of verdant life. Joy is my anthem to thrive. Take me to the heights where my help comes from, where no rules mean I can come undone. When life in doldrums weighs heavy on my heart and worries distract me from staying faithful in yesterday's pain, so dark, take me closer to the sky where life is lighter and air is sweeter with truth, and each bird floats high while echoes far away draw near. Take me to the mountains. Adventure with me, you beckon, your whispers lift my soul in the wind and take my fears, so I'll sing joy. Lift me higher than my ways. Teach me to follow lightly and bolder. Take me on journeys with joy and freedom. Show me your beauty. Once again, call me. I'll wander the hills, only ever getting lost with you. Take me to the mountains and do something new again. This one I always love because when you get in rooms with creative people, the philosophical thoughts come out, especially when you're in like a college town, which I'm from Duluth, Minnesota, by Lake Superior, and there's a lot of university students around. And so one saw my typewriter and said, "Oh, could you write me a poem about like what it means to be a writer? And then I'll share it with my English class." I was like, "Yeah, all right." I asked her a few questions, and this is what I came up with. What does it mean to be a writer? What does it mean to be a writer? Words on a page for days of mornings to wake? Ideas progressing to form for readers, children today laughing, tomorrow's leaders. What does it mean to be a writer? To carry emotions, to feel lighter? To write poems, forgetting to eat, never sleeping but dreaming? What does it mean to be a writer? Piles of books, your name on the spine, how you spend your days, your free time, thinking in rhyme, buying novels, saving dimes, escaping to faraway lands not yet written, creating lovers with whom to be smitten. What does it mean to be a writer? Bestseller status, podcast galore, interviews, accolades, awards to be won for stories unfolding, plot twists and character magic to thrill and enthrall the agent just landed. To skip as a child, to travel for miles, to learn, entertain, to teach knowledge to gain. What does it mean to be a writer? To surprise and delight a crowd of page turners? Keep books a-comin', relationships storming, stay captivating? Perhaps that's it for you, but for me, I think, I dream, I breathe, I bleed, I sing in words. Show up on the page, digital or paper, observe and collect wherever you wander. Write your words and write. Write your words and declare it. I am a writer. So I can read another poem. I know we have time for Q&A, but yeah. Yeah, let's do Q&A. That's great. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much, you guys.
That was amazing, Molly. How lucky you are, Claire. How lucky you are. Yes, have a fantastic poem just for you. Amazing. So, yes, Q&A, questions. Has anybody got questions for either of our two poets?
Yes.
Silence. Right.
Rhiannon, you read that poem about the house witch. Yes. Who's the he?
The question was, Rhiannon read the poem about the house witch. Who is the he?
So on like a metaphorical level, the he is just the stand-in for the monster in the bed, right? So on a metaphorical level, that he is, the monster under the bed, the figure in the woods, the thing 3 steps behind you, like monstrousness.
Anything scary?
Anything scary, but specifically anything scary that you believe is coming for your agency, is coming for your freedom. Anything that is setting out to constrain you.
What do you mean agency?
Like your ability to move through the world freely.
All right.
Yeah, anybody who wants to stop you from going where you want to go and being the person that you want to be. It's a semi-autobiographical poem. There is definitely a he I had in mind when I wrote it, as I think you can tell, because there's a lot of venom in it. But I didn't want to make it so specific that other people couldn't identify the monster in it for themselves and use it to have catharsis about anyone in their own lives who may have made them feel constrained or like their agency was up for grabs. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any more questions? I've got a question for Molly, really, because I don't know how you did that in that length of time. Have you ever come across something that actually you couldn't get a poem out of, or does it just flow?
It's a great question. Yeah. Yeah, so in those years that I said that I squashed it down, I still wrote. I still learned how to get over that scary blinking cursor, the scary blank page. And so I practiced all the time whenever I would write, whenever I was required to write, but even for fun, like how to just get the stuff out. And I found that the more I allowed myself to be real, something will happen. And having done this work again and again and again and again, I've realized, you know what, part of it's about the experience and the human interaction that we're doing. So if that happens, we've done it. And if there's something that's like okay-ish as a poem, that's cool. But I've learned to get out of my way, and I've found that if I just let it come out, the whole package of a thing works. And so sometimes I get sweaty armpits and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this today. And in fact, this yellow book has a lot of what I call like my prayer poems, where I always set the stage and write like, okay, I've showed up again. I really hope that I can do it. And then it's always cool because I get to meet people and we talk. So that's it.
Great.
For Molly, where you're from, what is the poetry scene like?
The question is for Molly, and the lady's asking, what is the poetry scene like where Molly comes from?
Thank you. Yeah, it's so in northern Minnesota, in Duluth by Lake Superior, there's a lot of just connection with nature. And so in terms of poetry, it's so often nature related, because when you have the largest freshwater lake by surface area right there, she just draws you in, and you have to write about her and connect with her. So there's a lot of really nature inspired. And then also because there are 2 really large universities in that space, there's just the wild explosion of student joy of poetry. So kind of anything goes. Yeah, it's great.
Caroline, did you have a question? No? Yes.
Why is water feminine?
Why is water feminine?
I wouldn't say that all water is feminine, but my relationship with Lake Superior is definitely 2 girlfriends. Yeah.
Did you have an opinion on that, Rhiannon?
I mean, yeah, similar thing. There are bodies of water that don't feel strictly gendered to me, and also I don't feel strictly gendered, but I don't necessarily connect femininity with womanhood all the time. And while I don't think that there's anything there is a lot has been written on the relationship between womanhood and water. But more than that, there's a femininity to water that I think comes from its ability to go from calm to tumultuous, like its depth. The fact that it is inherently nuanced, but people perhaps don't see inherent nuance when looking at it, that feels very like coherent to the experience of being coded feminine in the world, I guess. That was a very bougie answer, and I apologize.
I have one other thought, actually. Being in northern Minnesota, there are a lot of indigenous people. And in the Ojibwe nations that are around northern Minnesota, the men are traditionally the fire keepers, and the women are traditionally the water keepers as well. So that's part of that too. So.
Yes, John.
I have to confess to almost being the victim of my English teacher nearly 50 years, possibly more than 50 years ago, who, because I said I did not like the poetry of D.H. Lawrence, shot back at me, having tried, like everybody else in the class, to write a poem. It was taken me 60 years, I suppose, before I picked up the pen again. And both of you come and given me ideas today. I mean, halfway through something which should be potentially doggerel, I suppose, I don't know. I came up with a different beginning this morning to what I had yesterday, so I should work on it when I get back. But what I found from the two of you was the fact that you kept it going. I suppressed it for over 50 years. And if I can take inspiration from that, thank you both very much indeed. And what I also feel is your story of the First Nations people and the nature took me back to British Columbia this afternoon. So thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yes, well, I think we just need to say thank you very much to both of you. This has been, I think, a very inspirational afternoon. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you've all enjoyed it too. It has been very different from what we normally do, but that's good. Let's get stuck in a rut. Let's do something different. So thank you both of you very much for what you've done this afternoon. You've been amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.